Hi, my name is Anavverano. I am the little green girl, and this is my Zero Waste YouTube channel. So this video is actually really important. So happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody also. And then also happy 10th video. Yay. So today's video is going to be a little bit of a cooking special. So because everybody's in quarantine, everybody is baking, and one thing that everybody's baking is bread. So today I'm going to show you how to make bread, butter, and buttermilk as sustainably as possible. This is actually very sustainable compared to getting bread and butter and buttermilk at the store, and it's also really fun. So let's go make some bread. So we are making 2 loaves of crunchy, delicious artisan bread. So you're gonna need 3.5 cups of flour. I will also have this recipe linked in the description box below. So we're gonna need 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of instant dry yeast, and then 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Now we're going to mix it. And then we're gonna have 1.5 cups of water. And then now it's going to start to become, you're gonna stir, and it's gonna start to become kind of gooey. So you're gonna mix, and I'll be back when we're done mixing. Okay, so now we're gonna go wash our hands because we're about to use our hands. So now we're going to use our hands to kind of incorporate the dough. And now that we are not in that sticky situation, we are going to cover it so that it can rise for an hour. I'm using beeswax wrap that I got from the refillery, and it has little sea turtles and jellyfish, and it's ocean themed. And then to give it an extra good seal, I put a rubber band around this. So let's see if we can do this. And we did it. And now this is gonna rise for 1 hour, and it's gonna double in size. Okay, so it's been an hour, and our bread has been rising, and we're gonna take off our rubber band without hurting yourself like I just did. And you can see that it really did double in size, and it is a super big amount compared to what we had before. And it's super airy, which is really good. If it has air bubbles in it, that's super good for bread. So now we are going to line a baking pan with parchment paper. Now there is alternatives to parchment paper that are zero waste. They're like little things that stick on the pan, but we don't have them yet. And this is by If You Care, which is compostable and a super good company. So this is the most sustainable option of parchment paper. But next time we run out of parchment paper, we will be getting one of this. Now we're gonna take this dough, and as you can see, it's super airy and just like, and then surface. This is a very fun process. You're gonna take, we have this little flour thing that we use for homemade pasta, but I'm just gonna use it for this. You want to flour your surface, but you also want to flour your hands. And then we're going to just go for it. And it is super soft and sticky, and you should hear when you grab it like a fart noise. That means that it is done rising and ready to use. Again, we're struggling to get it off our hands. That is basically the story of this bread. And then we're just gonna kind of incorporate the doughy mess into itself. And it was really sticky, and we tried to add flour and then tried to film it like this, and it didn't work. Then we added more flour, and we're back and better than ever. And let's pray to the bread gods that this works out. Okay? Now, we just have one of these things that cut things and then hold them up. That cut bread and like pasta and things, and it's been through some rough spots. So. We're gonna cut this in half because we're making 2 loaves, and it's actually really good compared to what it did before it just stuck together. And I'm just gonna put these over here next to each other. And then now we're gonna take some fine cornmeal, which I believe you can get in bulk. And we're gonna put that all over the pan. The reason for this is you could use flour, but the thing that flour does is it burns and smells up the whole house. And it smells like something is on fire. So you could like your house to smell like it's on fire. But I would rather my house smell like fresh bread and not like burnt flour. So you're just gonna try to get it all over. It's kind of hard, but we'll get there. It probably is a lot easier with the 0 waste version of this because the thing's not moving all over the place because it's stuck in one place. But like I said, we'll be getting that soon. Whatever. And now you're just gonna kind of knead each piece into like a sphere. So here's how I like to do it. I like to kind of like fold it out like this. And then you've kind of fold it like a letter. Fold it in and then over the other way. And then you press down on that seal. And then you kind of roll it. And as you can see, it's sticking. So I'm gonna add some more flour over there. And we're just gonna kind of roll it out. And sort of try to make it look like a dough loaf like that. And then once it's ready, we're gonna put it on the thing, and it should look like that. And then we're gonna put more flour on this one, and we're gonna roll it around and do the same thing. So now we're going to put a little flour on the top of these. And then, so for this one, we're using towels. Again, you can use your beeswax wrap if you have it, or parchment paper, or if you have aluminum foil, that works too. Basically anything that can cover anything. But I want to mention that You don't need fancy beeswax to make bread zero waste. I'm just using a cloth. You could use a rag, basically anything that can cover something. So could be anything. So I'm just putting 2 napkins over these and putting it over. And also another thing is, if you have parchment paper or aluminum foil, I encourage you to use that up before you get something else. So now these are gonna set for 45 minutes and rise as loaves. And then now we're gonna make some butter and buttermilk. So I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by making butter because they think the only way to make butter is by taking a little mason jar and putting cream in it and shaking it up. And I've done that way, and it takes a long time and a lot of arm muscle. And a lot of people don't know that it's as easy as a food processor. You basically can use anything. If you have a blender, that's great. If you have a food processor, you can use that. If you have a stand mixer, you can also use that. Any basic kitchen appliance that can blend, make everything go together can work. Or of course, if you don't have any of those, a hand works. So we're taking heavy whipping cream. This is not very zero waste, as you can see. It is cardboard with wax, but it also has a plastic top. So I don't know if this is more sustainable than getting butter, but it makes about as much if you got like a big square and then there's 4 squares inside. It makes basically that much. So also, I do have to say that this isn't very zero waste, but we're actually going to try to get Homestead Creamery, which when Earth Fair was around, they closed. But when they did, they had this thing called Homestead Creamery, which came in these glass bottles, and they would reuse the glass bottles. You gave them back and they would reuse them. So we're gonna get Publix to get them, because the only store that sells them is Kroger, which is not in Florida. So we're going to try to get Publix to get it. We'll try on that. So I don't really measure this. I think I use about, like, I'm gonna say half of this, which is, I don't know. But I would say, I don't know, like that much. That much is, I think, good. Okay. This also is really cool. My mom had a Cuisinart kitchen, whatever it's called, and it broke, so she had to get a new one. And she actually got this one from Salvation Army. It looks really weird, but it actually works really well and works just as good as her really expensive Cuisinart. And this was only $9 at Salvation Army. And let's see if we can get this top on. And we did it. And now you're just gonna blend, and I'll show you the stages of when you know that it's ready to be blended. butter and buttermilk. So now the next step is to take all our butter out, and including everything, you just want to get everything and put it in a strainer over a bowl. Without letting the butter go through the strainer, because it's definitely done that before. As you can see, it's starting to go through the strainer. So you don't want to do it that much that it goes through the strainer. Now that's really a good consistency. I'm just taking any container works. You could basically use a bowl with a anavverano, anything else, and you are basically going to just put your butter in there. Unsalted butter does not have any salt in it, and salted butter has a little bit. So I just have a little bit of salt, and I'm gonna go 1/4 of a teaspoon at a time. And I just recommend doing this and then mixing it in and then tasting it. It's good to taste it and know what it is, gonna taste like, so that you can get a feel for how much salt you need. So this isn't very salty, so I'm gonna add another 1/4 of a teaspoon, and we're just gonna mix that in. It is kind of hard to mix because, well, it's butter and it's not very mixable. That's good. It's salty and delicious. So that is how you make homemade butter. I'm gonna put the top on, and my family will enjoy this, and this is delicious, and you will love this recipe so much. Butter. So now we have let the bread rise as loaves, and I'm so excited because now it's ready. Wow, guys, they rose a lot. Look how big those rolls are. So now we're going to score them, which, these give an A+, but it's not what scoring is. At least, the gods came down, gave it an A. Anyway, they're not gonna give it an A unless we score it, okay? So, you're gonna take a knife and don't cut yourself. And you're basically going to they need a little bit of air in them. You're just gonna kind of cut little marks in them. And this is just to have it more evenly, I think. Have them cook more evenly. So we're just doing it like that. They look really flat, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And then we're gonna just do it on the other one. Like I said, or I haven't said it actually, one bread is always gonna be better than the other, and I'm gonna really see if she's gonna be a better one. Now, this is a really cool trick for a crunchier outside and hopefully better rising. We also have our oven heated to 475. And you should have done that while these were cooking. Not cooking. While these were rising again. Now you're gonna I'll be back. I'm gonna need some help. So my mom had to put it in because I'm deeply scared of it. But basically you put a cast iron pan in the oven under where the bread's gonna go. And then you boil 3 cups of water, and then once it's boiling, you put it on the cast iron pan under the bread. And then I'm gonna get a cloth. So you just have plain cloth. And you're gonna put these bad boys in the oven. And you're going to set a timer for 25 minutes. So the reason that works, that cast iron on the bottom, is because it keeps steam in the oven. So then there's steam in the oven. You make sure not to open that because all the water is going to evaporate and you want it to stay in there. And that's gonna make a really crunchy, extra crunchy outside. That is gonna make this bread even better than it already is gonna be. Okay guys, the bread is ready.
Wow, it looks beautiful. Perfect it looks.
Also, my dad's here. The lazy environmentalist is going to tell us if the bread's good or not.
Is it ready?
Yeah.
Can I try it?
You got it.
Okay.
Do you want butter? This is our homemade butter.
Looks good.
Can I?
Yep,
Do you want that one?
yes, please.
Okay. It's gonna be hot, but tell if it's good.
Oh, toasty warm. It's delicious. It's really good growing.
I'm gonna try them. It's really good. Ooh, hot.
It's perfect.
It's very crunchy. This bread recipe is so good. I'm not even joking. I thought we might have to lie, but we're not going to because last week we made a loaf and we tried to do a different recipe and it came really salty. So I'm gonna tell you, so I'm not lying now guys, it's really good. You should try it. I'm gonna tell you how to wrap these. You can just use a cloth and then wrap them like a present. And there you go, bread. And you can do the same thing for the other. I would really recommend having a taste of them right when they're fresh out of the oven because that's when they're best and it's the best bread you'll ever taste. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe down below if you are new here. Make sure to try this bread recipe out because it is so good and you will never go back to another bread recipe again. The recipe is in the description box below. Same with whatever you can do with the buttermilk and the butter and the bread. I love you guys so much. Bye.